How did your family destroy your privacy? My parents removed every door, wall, and curtain from our house and made us live in one giant open space because they said physical barriers were the reason my brother was dead. My parents had always been obsessed with what they called radical transparency. When I was young, it just meant no secrets and lots of family meetings. But after my older brother Ryan took his own life in his locked bedroom when I was 10, they spiraled into paranoia about privacy. They blamed his door, said if they'd been able to see him, they could have saved him. Within a week of his funeral, contractors arrived. They gutted our house down to support beams, creating one massive room where nothing could be hidden. They said they wouldn't lose another child to secrets. Our house became one enormous space containing everything. Beds lined against walls, a single toilet behind a knee-high partition, a shower head sprouting from exposed pipes. My parents called it healing through visibility. This is how families should live, Dad announced, gesturing at our destroyed home. When you can see everything, no one suffers alone. Mom installed mirrors on the ceiling so there were no blind spots. Even our thoughts felt exposed in that endless space. They said Ryan's privacy had been the weapon he used against himself, and they'd never let walls help another child end their life. We learned to exist in full view of each other, every moment visible, every sound shared. For 3 years, my sister Autumn and I adapted and found little ways to create whatever privacy we could. We perfected the art of changing clothes in 30 seconds flat, developed selective blindness when necessary, and learned to sleep facing the exterior walls. It wasn't normal, but it was survivable. We even got good at bringing friends over, joking that our house was avant-garde and turning it into a weird badge of honor. But then everything changed when Uncle Jeremy got evicted from his apartment. Mom's brother had always made my skin crawl with his lingering hugs and comments about how I was filling out nicely. Now he was moving into our wall-less house, setting up his bed 15 feet from mine. The first night, I woke to find him sitting on my bed, watching me sleep. Just checking your breathing, he said. Can't be too careful after what happened to Ryan. Within a week, he rearranged his whole schedule to maximize watching us. He'd positioned himself with perfect sightlines while Autumn and I changed, pretending to read but tracking our every move. When I started changing in the tiny space behind the water heater, the only spot with partial coverage, Dad removed it for encouraging secretive behavior. So now we had no privacy and no hot water. Mom thought Jeremy's concern was sweet. He volunteered to do laundry so he could handle our underwear, offered to help us shower safely, and somehow always needed the bathroom when we did. I started sleeping in my school's library, changing in restaurant bathrooms, essentially becoming homeless to avoid him. When Mom demanded I come home, I finally told them about Jeremy. Dad's response? He's family. Family means trust. But I couldn't be trusted with a closed door. The night Jeremy tried to get in the shower with me to save water, I shoved him hard enough that he slipped and hit his head on the exposed pipes. While he cursed and bled, I threw on clothes and ran to the neighbor's house. She took one look at my face and called the police. The social worker who came to investigate actually dry-heaved when she saw our living situation. Jeremy was still there, ice on his head, positioned where he could watch Autumn doing homework in her underwear because she'd spilled juice on her clothes. This is how we live, Mom explained proudly. No walls, no secrets, no more dead children. The social worker watched Uncle Jeremy openly stare at Autumn and asked how long this had been going on. By evening, we were in emergency foster placement. Mom screamed that we were choosing walls over our brother's memory. Dad said Ryan would be rolling his grave if he knew we prioritized walls over his memory. Jeremy just smiled and waved, already eyeing the neighbor's teenage daughter who'd been watching the commotion. As we left, I heard him asking my parents if they'd considered expanding their philosophy to the whole neighborhood. Once we were gone, our parents doubled down on everything. They painted Ryan's room on the wall closest to his bedroom and invited grieving parents to tour our house, showing how transparency could have saved him. At the custody hearing, they brought these parents as witnesses. Their lawyer argued that foster homes were endangering children prone to taking their own lives. Then Jeremy stood up. I've been studying the girl's behavior, he said. The older one shows the same warning signs as Ryan. Isolation, secrecy, violence. He looked directly at me. I believe she's planning something. That's why I'm volunteering to move in permanently as a preventative guardian. 24-hour watches. I'll sleep in her bed if necessary. The judge's face softened. Mr. Jeremy's dedication is admirable. Mom added quickly. We've actually prepared a new sleeping arrangement. One large bed like families used to share, all of us together. The girls between Jeremy and their father for maximum protection. The judge nodded. Approved. Effective immediately. Anything to keep this young woman from making a terrible mistake. Jeremy leaned over to Autumn and whispered something that made her face go white. Both of us knew we weren't going back to how things were. We were going somewhere much worse. Full story on channel below.